What do you think? What do you think? Tuffy's at it again, isn't he? He sent me this thinking I'm gonna turn it, I guess. I don't know why else he would have sent it to me. Maybe just to give me a good chuckle, give you a good chuckle. Now this has some unique characteristics. The first one is, we don't know what it is. Tuffy wrote on there, "Hi Phil, fogwood." Fogwood, F-O-G, found on ground. So we don't know what kind it is. I kind of have a sneaky suspicion, but it doesn't seem heavy enough for that, but it might be, I don't know. Anyway, I think I've figured out a way to turn it. I think that'll be the top, but it doesn't have to be. I'll show you what I mean. Tuffy has cut this in such a way, if this is the bottom, see it there, it'll set on those feet. You can see where he's cut here, 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 so that it'll set flat, and maybe here as well. So at least 3 feet, maybe 4, if that's the bottom. But it doesn't have to be. This can be the bottom, because this is also flat. And I believe Tuffy did that. Or this can be the bottom, because this is flat. The only thing that can't be the bottom, well, I think it'll even set this way, so that this is the top, and this is the bottom. I think it'll set on 3 sides. I'm guessing this is a root from something. I don't know what else it would be if it's not a root. But let me show you a problem that I found and how I intend to fix that problem and how I intend to mount it, maybe. Oh, by the way, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. This be the top, those legs would be the bottom. The problem is it rocks a little bit. Not bad, it'll set like that. But if someone was to touch it, it'll rock a little bit. But see, it can sit this way as well. This could be the top. It'll set this way with those legs as the top. And there's lots to see here from any angle. It doesn't really matter. This looks perfectly fine to me. It looks great. I just like those legs being on the bottom. This way. I suppose it could set that way. I don't think, oh well, it'll stand on end, on that end anyway. I don't think it's going to stand on this other end. Nope, won't do that. But Tuffy gave us lots of options, but I'm going this way. So what I'm going to do is take this over here to my stationary belt sander, just set it down and smooth off that bottom until it's all flat, until all the legs are touching and until that rocking is gone. Now it's going to get noisy here. I'm going to turn on my dust collector and then the sander. And now the rocking is gone. So how are we going to mount it? Well, I have an idea. So I've mounted a piece of plywood up on my chuck and I've mounted double face tape to that. I'm going to peel off this blue stuff. I'm going to get up there real close. I'm going to bring up my live center about like that, and then I'm going to bring it up real close to this once I've peeled these off. So now I'm coming up here close and then putting my live center, oops, where'd it go? Over here. We're going this way. Don't screw it up, Phil. Okay, right there. And then, oops, don't let it touch yet. It can't touch. You only get one shot at this. This is going to take some messing around that you're not going to want to watch, probably. Now, this 1 foot over here, closest to me, this one, is just barely touching right on this edge right here. I'd like to have more of it. Well, you know, I think I might just have to go with only 3 legs touching. That's got my center on the top where I want it to be. I'm applying a little bit of pressure here. So I've got 1 solid foot here, most of this foot, a solid foot over here, and this one's not touching at all. So I'm going to lock down my tailstock and apply pressure. Okay, I'm going to just let that set with pressure against it for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. And I'll bring you back and we'll start turning out the inside. Now, there's not going to be any turning on the outside. None whatsoever. Nothing on the bottom, only the inside. We're just going to make a bowl out of it. And I think this might be Manzanita. It's not quite red enough, but the bark sure does look like Manzanita. And the waviness, the style of the piece looks like Manzanita. I've turned about 3 or 4 pieces of it now. I keep saying I'm never going to turn it again because it's incredibly hard. I'll just let that set a while. I'll be back. 574 RPM, 1/2 inch standard grind bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. Let's get to it. Yep, Manzanita. See, I didn't expect that. And it did hit my face shield, that's why I'm wearing one. So let's see why it happened. There's just not a lot of surface area for it to stick to. It wasn't touching, yeah, it wasn't touching this one at all. It was touching this one, and this a little bit, half of this. Okay, well, let me rethink my position here, if I can mount this up some other way. Well, I made a couple of changes. Put this cone on here. I thought of that in the beginning, but I thought it wouldn't hit enough places, or I thought it would hit one place a lot and throw it off kilter, you know, but actually it's hitting a lot of places. It's hitting almost all the way around, so it's applying more pressure spread out than my center was, so that's helping. And I repositioned it on the tape, so now I do have contact with this piece over here. I didn't have any contact with that one before. Not a lot of contact, but contact nevertheless. And then I've applied hot glue, and I know it might not be a good idea to apply it against the tape. If this doesn't work, then I'll take it apart again and pull all the tape off and apply it with just hot glue against the wood. Okay, I feel pretty good about that. I'm gonna let that set up for 20 minutes or so. See you in a bit. Okay, let's try this again. I am gonna change to a carbide tip now that I know this is Manzanita, because it'll take just little tiny cuts and maybe it won't jar it so much. Give us a little better chance maybe. What's the worst that could happen, right? I'm gonna get my mask and face shield on, we'll get back at it. Looking pretty cool. That might be about as big as we want to go. And the reason is, see here, if we keep going down, this whole thing's going to go away because it's going to get cut through right here. I could go maybe just a little bit more. We're going to lose this if I go a little bit more. I'm trying to keep my center there in case I have to reset this again. Well, I see why people like using carbide. It just makes life easy, doesn't it? I just think it's not much fun to watch. I sure would like to get rid of this. It does seem to be holding, doesn't it? I'm going to go a tiny bit wider. We're going to lose that. Well, we can still go a lot deeper, and this does seem to be pretty stable, so maybe I can get rid of this middle part. Yeah, I don't want to go any wider than that. we go. Now I can get my chisel in there for a little more support. See where we are bottom wise. I'm going to take a break. My heart can't stand it. Whoa! Well, that was a necessary break, as it turns out. I was hoping to get away without any CA, which is super glue for those that don't know what CA is. Cyanoacrylate. Anyway, this whole piece right here was wiggling. I hadn't noticed it while I was turning, and then I found a crack. I noticed a crack, so I put CA on all of those. This would be a bad thing to lose because that's one of our legs. So it quit wiggling. I feel like it's strong now. I also measured the thickness of the bottom. It's about 3/4 of an inch. I just don't think I should go any deeper, just because I'll weaken everything that I'm looking at here by going deeper. So I'm going to get rid of the center, then I'm going to use my 1/2 inch bowl gouge to try and smooth up my sides. I've got some terrible tool marks in here. And then it'll be time for sanding. We're going to be turning at 580 RPM, 1/2 inch bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. It's better, it's not great. I'm going to try my 5/8 bowl gouge in here, a little more stable, a little less vibrating maybe. Also, maybe I'll get over here closer to the side. Well, okay, it's way better. Not great, but it's way better. I'd use my scraper in there, but it's just too much surface area touching the whole thing. Might jar it loose, so I'm just gonna deal with sanding it. So with that in mind, time for sanding. You just saw me doing some spot sanding, trying to get out some of the tool marks, torn grain, and there's a little bit of punkiness in here. So that's what I've been working on with an 80 grit disc without the piece spinning. Now I'm going to make the stupid attempt of spinning the piece up and sanding that way. I don't know if it'll work. We'll find out together. Wow, it works. I wouldn't have guessed that in a million years, but I thought I'd give it a try. Okay, well, whew, I can breathe again. Okay, starting at 80 grit, working up through 400 with my 2-inch disc. In addition to that, of course, I'll be using my Sandoflex extensively. This is going to take a lot of time, but I'll show you generally what I'm going to be doing. This is 180 grit Sandoflex. Yeah, that's going to take a lot of time. I didn't really think this through all the way, how I'm going to finish it, because I cannot finish the bottom. on the lathe. So since I can't finish the bottom on the lathe, and I prefer to do my finishing on the lathe, I may just sand this and then take it loose from the glue and the tape and all the crap stuff and spray it. Spray a sanding sealer on there and then spray a finish on it. Shellac, most likely. And I won't be able to sand it all either because I can't sand the bottom. So I'll still use my Sandoflex on the bottom, but I'll use it in a chuck on the lathe, and I'll be holding the bowl, and I'll show you that if that's what I decide to do. I'm going to continue sanding in here. I'll sand as much of this as I can get. So that's probably what I'm going to do. Anyway, what I'm really going to be doing is sanding for a long time. So I'll bring you back when I figure out what's next. See you in a bit. Okay, I'm getting excited now. This is sanded to, like I said, 400, and it feels like it. It's incredibly smooth everywhere. I kind of wish I would have finished it before I took it off the lathe, this inside part, but I'm just not sure. Well, first of all, I always use sanding sealer and then shellac. Well, I bought a can of spray shellac because they didn't have any sanding sealer. Same brand I always use, Zinsser Shellac. I usually use Zinsser Seal Coat for my sanding sealer. That spray on shellac does not call for anything other than the shellac. It doesn't say any sort of pre-coat or sanding sealer or anything else. So I guess it's gonna do the job. I hope. It's just clear, just like I use Bullseye Shellac. Clear, dries in minutes. We'll see about that. It says have it at room temperature. Well, room temperature here is about 42. We'll see how that works out. Oh, and I didn't even tell you about taking this off. I'm sorry. You didn't get to see it because it was so simple. It just sort of happened. What I did is I just had this on the lathe spinning slowly, about 80 RPM, and I had my little heater pointed at it to soften the tape. Well, it did soften the tape, and it also softened the hot glue. So after spinning here for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, I gave it a little tug to see if it would come, and it just came right off. The tape came first, and then I peeled the tape off the bottom, and that left a little bit of hot glue, and I just used my fingernails to peel that off around the little edges, and it just all came right off. I was amazed. I was pleasantly surprised. Okay, enough yakking. So I'm going to get my mask on, and I'll show you how I'm going to sand this on with the Sandoflex on the lathe instead of in my drill. Let me get my mask on. And the lathe is spinning forward at 730 RPM. Which just really isn't fast enough. Try about 900 RPM. Yeah, that's better. So that's what it's going to look like, and it's going to take a little while. Yeah, it already makes such a difference. Doesn't change how it looks much, but it sure feels nicer, I can tell you that. And cleans it up, ready for our finish, which we'll do in a little bit as soon as I get this done. See you in a bit. Well, I'm at least as interested as you are in how this is going to look. I'm going to do the bottom first. You're going to have to wait to see the inside until the end. And speaking of the end, I was so anxious to get into this piece that I forgot to do a view like this of the before video. I didn't do it. Sorry about that. I'm really sorry about that, because I'd love to see the before and after myself, but we're just going to have to live with what we got. This is going to make quite a little bit of difference. I imagine I'll do at least 3 or 4 or 5 coats of this stuff. Nice light coats. I don't want any runs. Now this is just art. This is just artwork. This isn't, you know, it's not a, it's not a candy dish, not a nut bowl. It's just art. It's just meant to be appreciated for what Mother Nature has given us here. And Tuffy. What Tuffy gave us. So that's the general idea. Like I said, 3 or 4 coats of this, maybe more, I don't know, whatever it takes. Okay, so I'll be doing this for a while, then I gotta turn it over and do that for a while. So in all honesty, it'll probably be tomorrow. See you tomorrow. If you share this video, other people can learn from my mistakes, and maybe that's a good thing. So I guess I'd appreciate it if you would share it. I'm just about embarrassed to show this to you. I'm never, ever, ever gonna spray a piece again. At least not a piece like this. Maybe something flat, I don't know, but not this. Well, here it is. One Manzanita bowl in the books. It's way, way too shiny that way. And it was that way earlier until I sanded it back somewhat. Not entirely, not down to bare wood. Then it was too dull. I mean, it was way too dull. So then I applied some more finish to it. And it just brought that shine right back like I never had sanded it back at all. And to me, it's just way too shiny. Now, that's that part. The rest of it I also sanded back, which was also that shiny. And it looks like not so good. Actually, it looks, as I'm looking in the monitor here, it looks okay, but in person it doesn't look so good. That was just as shiny as that is, but I used my Sandal Flex 320 grit, and I thought it would just kind of take the shiny off. Well, it took it off in some places and not necessarily in others. So I'm just sort of disgusted. I'm really disappointed in myself. I should have just taken the time to apply the shellac like I usually do, and it would have looked great. It would have taken a lot of time, but I've spent way more time trying to fix it than if I would have just done it right in the first place. So there it is. I love the piece. I love the wood. I love the shape. I love all the wonderful, wonderful features. It's just my finish that's awful. Just awful. So that's the bad parts. Let's talk about the good parts. This is so cool. And this little curlicue right here, I love that. So somebody will say, you know, it won't hold soup. No, it's not supposed to hold soup. It's just artwork. It will hold a couple of things, however. I really thought it would look incredibly wonderful with a crystal bowl in there, and I swear there must be 4 or 5 crystal bowls around here that would fit in that. I can't find them. I looked in all the obvious places. I've seen my wife buy them at yard sales all the time. I can't find them. So what I did find was this very thin bowl that I did. This is English walnut. I did this bowl before I had a YouTube channel, and I found it, and it fits. So you could put that bowl in there if you wanted to. Now you can have soup, or a salad, or something with a fancy holder. I think it looks pretty good with this. Some of my wife's crystals. It looks pretty nice. And it looks nice by itself, other than my finish. It will stand on 2 sides. It'll stand on this side all by itself, and it'll stand on this side as well. It'll stand on 2 sides, so that's a plus. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I don't know if I'm going to try and fix it or if I'm just too disgusted. Let me know what you think. Thank you, Tuffy Marginez, for sending this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up, please. I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about 1 a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I love reading them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.